Jana,
Hi, Heather. Today we're talking.
hello.
Hi, today we're talking to our designers, our web designers, and our brand strategists, and people like that in our audience in particular. Although every service provider really will find this quite relevant today, but we're really honing in on those designers and brand strategists. I know I have a lot of them in my audience who are really familiar with Pinterest as users because they use them with their clients. They get inspired by Pinterest
Mhm.
for designs, and they're hearing other designers and like strategists are getting clients using Pinterest, but they're not sure how exactly that works. So that's what we're talking about today. I'm excited.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
this. I've actually worked with quite a lot of designers over the years,
Hmm.
and they have a lot to offer. And
Yeah.
while they're on the platform, they might as well be sharing their work because they're spending time on the platform.
I agree. I agree. It's another way to think about that too is like it's a natural fit for them, right? It's
Mhm.
like there are certain niches that are a really natural fit for Pinterest. And you and I both know that that doesn't mean that if you're not like one of those natural niches that you can't do well. Um, but at the same time, design, like if you're a web designer, a brand strategist, any kind of designer really, is one of those niches that does tend to perform well because it's so visual. So, like you said, you might as well, if you're using it, be thinking about it more strategically and actually letting it drive leads to you so you can use it for that purpose and get clients.
I love that.
Yeah.
On the flip side of this, so obviously brand designers, photographers, like
Hmm.
the kind of
Visual.
and I can't think of the adjective to describe like the surrounding people around like brand designers, but
Some people say like creative entrepreneurs, but that's never really resonated for me because I feel
it's
like
not,
I'm a creative entrepreneur and I'm a writer, so I don't know. Hmm.
yeah, it's not really a fit for me either.
Hmm.
Like, photographers, copywriters, people that support websites as a whole, not just
Yeah.
like the designer of the website, but like maybe
Right.
brand strategists as well. I feel like we'll get a
Yeah.
lot of really good information out of today's combo. So,
Yep, yep. And like you said, you've had a lot of people you've worked with. I'm sure you have people in your membership now and people who join the
oh
membership all
yeah.
the time who are in this category, web design, brand design, the kind of surrounding cottage industries. I don't know.
Hmm.
Maybe that's the term. Um, and I have kind of an interesting relationship with this particular group of folks because 9 years ago now, I guess, when I started my business and when I really started, when I got my first like I don't want to say real client because I was working with my family's businesses, former clients, because when I started this business, my family's business had just sold. And so my
Hmm.
first clients were like people who were like my family's business's clients, basically. But the first time that I really got involved in the online business industry, so to speak, in this creative entrepreneur world was with
Yeah.
Kay. You remember Kay Putnam, who was
Oh yeah.
my retainer client, and I worked with her for almost 6 years as her content manager and managed her Pinterest and did all of her blog and all her content repurposing and everything. Um, and she was by trade, if you will call it that, a brand strategist and a web
Hmm.
designer. And she was doing that work for clients during the time I was with her at a high level. She also had a course that taught people how to grow their own, or build or define and build their own brands. She
Yeah.
developed other courses around branding. So, and she was a coach. She did coaching and consulting as well. So, that was kind of like my entree into this world. And so I am and like I said, 5 years on retainer for her. So I'm very like, it's like ingrained in the way I think about online business is all the brand and design stuff too. So. Um, and
The
I was
word.
managing her Pinterest for her, and she was doing that type of work. So
That's
some of the
amazing.
other clients that I also brought in were also brand designers who were doing that kind of work. So yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
The word I was looking for was ancillary.
Hmm.
I knew
Right.
it was in there.
Yeah.
It means supporting.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I'm
So
smart, Jana.
yes, you have this wonderful vocabulary.
Well, the great
Yep.
thing about Pinterest is that it's not a social media platform. Truly, it's
Hmm.
a search engine. Although it has a lot of components of some social media in that it has an engagement algorithm. And the engagement algorithm is truly one of the most unique, I feel like, in how the platform curates a feed for each individual person.
Yep.
My husband and I are two different people, and on
Hmm.
Instagram, we oftentimes get the same exact videos.
Mm.
And it's
Mm.
like whatever is being really pushed in the algorithm right now, as far as like
For
cute
everyone.
dogs or funny
Yeah.
goats, like everyone is seeing those.
Mm.
Um,
Trending, cute goats.
Whereas that's not necessarily the case with Pinterest. And I think that's a unique selling point for the platform as a marketing platform.
Hmm. Yep.
So I'd love to hear more about what you call the Pinterest to blog to client funnel.
Okay, yeah, we can kind of start there, specifically with the web designers and brand strategists and the ancillary folks who support them. Good word
Mhm.
there. Because, and you're right, before we dive into that, let me just say that I think the thing that really makes Pinterest a uniquely excellent place for people like this, the
Yeah.
designers, the brand strategists, is, I mean, it's not unique to them in this, but because Pinterest can bring you, the goal of Pinterest really for your type of business is to bring what I consider cold, high intent traffic to your content and your offers.
Yep.
And after we talk a little bit about the Pinterest to blog to client funnel, let's circle back to that and talk about what we mean by cold, high intent traffic.
Yeah.
Because I think we're going to kind of like define it as we talk about it. But that's really to me the key to it and the key to remembering what your strategy is and how you kind of go from using it as just a user who's someone maybe who's, co-creating like mood boards with your clients prior to projects and things like that, pivoting over to actually using it in a way that brings you leads and clients. Um, so yeah, the Pinterest to blog to client funnel is a term that I kind of coined, even though I coined the term, but I didn't make it up, obviously. The strategy has been being taught online for a long time. It goes all the way back to like our early days on Pinterest when people like Melissa Griffin, who was one of the first ones to teach
Yeah.
it, really said, hey, you know what? Pinterest could actually be really good for like service providers as well. So basically, the idea is that you set up a funnel, or if you want to call it a customer journey, because sometimes when people think of funnel, they think of an email funnel, and that's a type of funnel. But really, a funnel in this term is like funnel with a lowercase f. It's just another word, a fancy word for a customer journey, where you're kind of like designing a path. You're like putting out stepping stones in a garden, if you will, that people can take. And each stepping stone is kind of like a step towards becoming a paying client, right? And
Yeah.
so at the very beginning of that path that you're kind of laying out. And there's a few different ones that people can take if you're a web or a brand designer or really any service provider. But what's happening is people go onto Pinterest and they search a keyword. And I'll give you a few examples because in order to prepare for today, I wanted to do a little bit of just like light keyword research. I checked to see like what things are being searched, just a few different things, non-exhaustive list, obviously, around these types of things. And I'm thinking, okay, so website ideas for certain type of people. Like say you're a web designer and you really specialize in doing websites for therapists or healers, or you specialize in doing websites for yoga studios or restaurants or like whatever it is. If you go into Pinterest and you start typing in and you'll notice that people are searching for things like that. So just as one example, I typed in websites for THER and website for therapists, website for therapy, therapy website, website design for therapists, therapist website homepage, therapist web design inspiration. These are some of the things that are being searched just around this tiny little niche of like web design and even brand strategy to some degree, right, for
Now,
therapists.
I want to call out something that's in your screenshot because you sent it to me
Mhm.
for prep is Show It Therapist website, which you skipped right past, and that's okay. But this goes back to the fact that I talk about this so often. The tools that business owners are already using
Hmm.
or want to use, they are searching for those things on search engines like Pinterest. So
Yep, yep, you're right.
a couple people in my group and someone I actually just talked to on Monday, a gal is a Show It website designer. So this is great. Like
Yeah.
this is just further proof to me that, can lead to sales.
Yeah, definitely. If you think about the tools that you use to help
Hmm.
people with the thing that you help with, and also the tools that people are wanting to use.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a tangent, but I think about like what's the search intent there? If someone's typing in
Yeah.
show it therapist website, that probably means that they're a therapist and they've already done a lot of research
Yeah.
about what the best ways to set up a website might be. And maybe someone told them or they read something somewhere about how Show It is a good platform, right, for
Hmm.
therapy websites. And so now they're at the point where they're like really looking for like actively for
Examples
ideas
or
around that and
yeah.
examples, right? And if you, so this is the Pinterest to blog to client funnel. If you have a pin that is like, why Show It is the best website platform for therapists, or maybe like three website platforms that therapists, you know, that are really good for therapists, and one of them is Show It or something like that. Or even like, Show It therapist website examples, and you have like three mock-ups there from projects that you've done because you specialize in Show It. Someone could find that who has, again, this very like high intent. They're already at the point where they are pretty sure they want to use Show It, and now they're just looking for ideas around it and inspiration around it. Um, so for them to find you if you're a Show It designer for therapists is obviously pretty powerful, right? So
Yeah.
that's a good call out by you. Um,
Sorry to take you off
oh no,
off
it's
your
okay. My funnel.
your funnel,
Off my customer journey, off my stepping stone path in the garden. Um,
off your train track.
that works too. Um, so also somatic therapy website design, modern therapist website. I mean, there's so many. These are just like a couple of
There really
examples of
are.
things that are being searched. Just as like a little bit of extra context, just I'm just going to go for it here since we're already so off the funnel, and I promise we'll come back to the garden path, the funnel. But I also just found like checkout page design website, checkout page design mobile, checkout page
Yeah, so people
design
are looking
app
for very specific page
solutions.
examples,
Yep,
likely because they already have a specific website set up and now they need something adding on, which is
could
just
be.
like
Yeah. It could be, or
great.
it could be someone who is a therapist. No, not a therapist in this case, sorry. It could be a therapist, but it's anyone because there's no therapy in this particular search that I did. It could be someone who knows that they need a website because their main problem that they're up against right now is that they don't have a really good way that they are proud of to charge their clients for their service or their product, for example.
Yeah,
And so they're thinking, okay, they hear someone say, like, okay, you need a checkout page. And they're like, oh, okay. So they start looking for examples of what that could look like, right? And they
yeah,
may just need a checkout page with a simple website, or maybe they need a more, significant website. Or like you said, maybe they already have a website and now they're looking to try to figure out how to add a checkout page. But either way, these are things that if you help with and they're searching for them, it's good to be searched. I mean, good to be discovered for these things.
yeah.
And then not to leave our brand strategists out, I also found some keywords around rebranding because I was thinking about a few of my students inside of high leverage content who are brand strategists.
Mhm.
And a couple of them in particular are very focused on serving entrepreneurs who are not beginners, but are rather the kind of folks who maybe DIY'd their first website and their first brand. And now they're at the point in their business where they're like, okay, it's time to actually hire a professional to do my rebrand. And so that word rebranding and rebrand is very important for them. And so I looked up just a little bit around that and rebranding yourself, rebranding aesthetic, but I always skip over that. Rebranding ideas, rebranding design, rebranding myself, rebranding post, rebranding business. These are all things that are being searched, and there's many more that we could use, like my ABC method, for example, to uncover. So yeah, there's just like so much being searched, and again, these are just some random examples. So back to the little garden path, unless there were
Yep.
any things you wanted to comment on there with the rebranding, Miss
Nope.
Heather. Okay. The first step in that garden path, right, that customer journey or that funnel that we're setting up for the Pinterest to blog to client funnel is somebody searches a keyword and that we want them to find us. And so we need to find out what keywords people are searching that are relevant for the things that we offer. So that's the first thing, right? And then once they find that, what are they going to do? So they find your pin in their search, literally in their search, or maybe a couple days later, they go back on Pinterest for something else. And because they search that a couple days ago, Pinterest puts something in their home feed and it catches their attention. So again, it
Mhm.
could be about a show at website design ideas. It could be therapist website examples. It could be rebranding strategy, whatever those things were that we just read a minute ago. And so they find that pin. So what are they going to do with your pin, right? What does your pin actually do? So your pin has a link on the other end of it. And this is the thing that a lot of, I think, designers don't necessarily realize right away, and brand strategists as well. They're pinning a lot of ideas, and they're pinning other people's pins to their boards, and they're pinning sometimes things that they find online that are inspiration. And they might
Yeah.
even be pinning some of their own things from their website, but they're not necessarily consciously thinking about the link that's associated with that pin graphic. And so that link can actually link to anywhere on your website, or really anywhere, but we like to send most of our links to our websites. And ideally, in the Pinterest to blog to client funnel, you link to a blog post that you've written that is designed specifically for people who are, again, high intent because they're searching for something when they find you. You're not just interrupting their social feed. They were looking for, puppy videos and they happened to see this thing. Instead, they were
Yeah.
actually looking for the thing that you help with. They find the pin, so they're high intent, but they don't know you yet. So they're cold. And that's what we're talking about that high intent cold audience. So ideally, blog posts are like, in my opinion, any kind of long form content really, but blog posts are the easiest in my opinion, are the very best bridge from someone who's high intent, wants to learn about the thing that you are helping with, right? But doesn't know anything about you yet, just found out about you for the first time. A
Yeah.
blog post that's written in a high converting fashion, which is what I teach my students to do inside high leverage content, is like the perfect bridge from high intent cold to high intent warm and even hot lead. And so for my students, including those that are brand designers and web designers, in those situations when they can get someone from Pinterest who found them to land on one of those high converting HLC style blog posts, from that blog post, people can purchase directly. They can sign up to work with you, like sign up for a discovery call or apply to work with you. They can opt into a lead magnet if you have that on your page. They can read that blog post that they land on and maybe read two others that you've also linked or that are just available in your blog because now they're hooked and they want to read more of your content and they binge read. They could go to your work with me menu and learn about your offers, right? So there's lots of
Mhm.
different kind of like paths again that you can take people down. But the idea is that you get them from Pinterest to your blog where they can go from being high intent cold leads to high intent warmer leads because your blog posts, if you write them the way I teach you to write them, cover all the key things that your audience needs to feel ready to buy. So the idea is they're going from not ready to buy to ready to buy in a pretty quick, you know, uh, sequence if you have the right content
Yeah.
on your blog. So that's what I call the Pinterest to blog to client funnel. I'm sure there's more that I meant to talk about with that, but that's kind of the basics.
And I think something to talk about with just to touch on briefly with designers is the fact that it's often a high ticket service. I mean, you're very
Maybe.
rarely selling somebody a $900, website or something, maybe a $900 website template.
Yep, exactly. I was just going to say some of our designers do sell templates. Yep.
Yeah. So the positioning here of a blog post or long form content that's easy to consume is helping to build that trust with people that are willing to then spend possibly four to low five figures
Hmm.
on your service.
Right. It's
So
a good point. Yep.
it's a really good touch point to show people what you do, how you can help them, in what ways you've helped other people.
Yep.
You know what you're talking about. Um, because it's a big ask,
Right.
especially when you're talking about design, because
Right.
design is so personal
Hmm.
um, to each individual person, and it's going to be what is speaks about them when they're
Yeah.
not speaking.
Yes.
Your website speaks for you and does work for you,
That's right.
so it needs to look like you. It needs to feel like you. It needs to make your potential customers and clients feel safe and trusted. All of
Yeah.
that stuff. So I think
Yeah.
that blog is so important.
Yep.
Or if you don't want to do a blog, long form content of some sort, so YouTube videos or
Hmm.
podcasts.
Absolutely. Yep. And I do have some students in HLC who come in and actually do have a podcast or a YouTube channel as their main long form content.
Yeah.
Most of them do a blog because it's really the lowest lift. Most of them who are interested in Pinterest, and not all my students do Pinterest, just to be clear, like you don't have to have
Yeah.
Pinterest for HLC and for blogging in general to work in this way. Because what we're describing as far as people coming to your website and letting your blog warm them up and give them all the things that they need to feel ready to buy, that can actually happen with people from any place where they find you. It's just that Pinterest in particular brings us those high intent but cold leads. Um, and we love that really, right? Like when you hear cold leads, sometimes you're like, ooh, cold, but that's so important for any thriving business. If you want to have a full pipeline of future clients and always know like where your next client's coming from, which I think a lot of designers these days is tough because for a long time, a lot of designers really relied mostly on referrals and are probably still getting
Mhm.
a lot of referrals, but referrals are very like, we love them, but you can't really control the flow of your leads when you're really doing like just relying on referrals. They kind of come when they come.
Yeah.
Um, and so if you want to have a pipeline of people, bringing some people into your audience all the time, ideally on autopilot like Pinterest does it, who are
Yeah.
cold leads. I'm sorry, I'm so froggy this morning. Who are cold leads, but also knowing that you have a way, your long form content, to quickly warm them up and give them everything they need to feel ready to buy. Like that's super, super powerful. It's a really, really great platform and a great combination or funnel or customer journey to create to get people always in your pipeline at different places and at different stages of being ready to buy. So yeah.
Yeah. So where do we go from the blog to, or the Pinterest to blog to content or client funnel? Where do we go
Yeah.
from there?
So I think once people understand that that's what we're doing, then they start to have this understanding of why keywords are important because
Mhm.
people don't even get to the garden path. They don't step on the first stone. They don't even know the garden path is there unless you're using the right keywords, right? And when I say
Yeah.
the right keywords, it doesn't necessarily mean that for every business there's exactly, 95 keywords that are exactly the right ones for you. It just means finding keywords that are aligned with the things you do help with. And that are things people really are searching. And that's what we do, through doing our keyword research, of course, right?
Yep.
And I'm actually going to be announcing officially to my email list next week that I'm going to be taking for 4 days only, pulling my done for you Pinterest work out of the vault and offering a done for you Pinterest setup, which involves some keyword research in the beginning, of course, as a bonus for HLC folks who are joining is it next week? Yeah, I think it is next week. So that's exciting. If anyone is listening and you're on my email list or you're not already on my list, but you want to get on it so you can get that offer, it's coming soon. I mention that because I love doing keyword research for people, and that's one of the reasons I'm offering this as a bonus next week because I'll be
Yeah.
doing keyword research for some lucky HLC students. But I'd say as far as where we go next, thinking about like how you can find the right keywords and the questions that I am asking myself when I'm doing keyword research for someone, if it's a brand designer, a web designer, or anyone for that matter, but in this case, we're talking specifically to those folks, are who
Mhm.
is the offer for? So, like in this case, in one case, we were talking about therapists. And so that's
Mhm.
going to really help you start thinking about what keywords to type into the search bar in order to like validate what you think people are searching.
Yep.
What is the offer itself, which you already naturally brought up, Heather, right? Is it a service? Is it a brand strategy intensive? Is it a 2 month website design project? Is it templates, right? So thinking about what the offer is itself. And then also, of course, looking at what blog posts and lead magnets does this person have and what keywords are a natural fit for each individual high converting blog post that that person wrote or built to convert blog post. So looking at that to try to identify like what the keywords um, like should be. And then knowing where and how to add the keywords that you discover that you want to use and that you want to be found for
Yeah.
into those 7 places of your Pinterest profile. And we've done lots of content on this channel, and you
We
have
have.
lots of good content around where to put those keywords.
Mhm.
But basically, you can put them, I'll just rattle them off, and people can take notes if they want, but also know there's lots of good content on Heather's channel and we both teach this in our programs, obviously, but the name of your profile, the bio or about me section, the board titles, the board descriptions. And then when you create Pinterest pins, the text overlay, the pin title, and the pin description. Those are the basic places where you can add your keywords. So
Okay.
part of it is about making sure you're using them too, not just finding them.
Yeah, you have to use them and consistently, preferably.
Yeah.
So, okay. Nope, I'm not gonna rabbit hole. We're gonna
You're
keep
not going to
going
rabbit
down the
hole.
path. No,
Are you sure? Sounds like it could have been a
I'm
good
sh
one.
I'm sure.
Okay.
Okay. Did we talk about the cold high intent traffic just yet? I know we
I
had
think so.
wanted to touch on
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Yeah, I think we circled back to it. And I think
I think we did circle back. Okay.
hopefully viewers know what I mean now by high intent cold traffic. High intent meaning they're searching, they find
Yeah.
you because they're searching for something that now that you do because you matched up the keyword properly. And then the
Yeah.
cold meaning they need some content from you before they're feeling confident and ready to buy your offer, no matter what kind of
Yeah.
offer it is. Yeah.
Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure that we were down the right path.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of the things we want to talk about is lead magnets
Yes, that's what I was
because
going to bring up next.
yeah, because brand strategists and web designers can have like awesome lead magnets that work really well on Pinterest, and you can link to your blog posts, or you can also, and I should say not or, you can also link to lead magnets.
Yes, and you
One of
should.
you definitely should, yep. And for just as a random example, I worked with a woman named Sarah for years on different types of projects on her Pinterest. I did her Pinterest twice. She actually did my website initially. And for a long time, when she was a brand designer and a web designer, she had a mood board challenge that she ran and then put on Evergreen. And that was a lead magnet for her that did really, really well. So we promoted that on Pinterest like crazy. We also promoted it as a call to action on her blog posts, which we promoted on Pinterest. And she got like, thousands of opt-ins to her email list from people who were interested in her services by running this mood board challenge and then offering it as a evergreen version of a lead magnet. That can be a little bit complicated. You can also do, PDFs. I've seen brand strategists do quizzes a lot because of different like brand personality types. Those work really well. What other lead magnets are we thinking for brand designers, Heather?
Specific pages or template pages that you want to give away for free. One of my
Oh yeah.
designers did an Instagram links page
Hmm.
to get
Oh,
her clients and students and
that's
customers,
a smart one.
off, yes,
Yep.
off of third-party websites for their links pages.
Mhm.
And that one works well.
Yep.
It's a very specific for show it, so
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Um,
that's really good because if she said like I can give you for free a show it template for a page for your links, like it's only going to
yeah, I
attract people
mean,
who have either have show it or want to have their site on show it, right?
what are those? What's the name of a link website?
Linktree.
I mean, Linktree, you probably could get it for free, but a lot of people want the custom design and stuff like that. So they offer a free version, but you're limited to like a certain number of links, I think, and you're limited to
Yeah.
no, you get unlimited links, it says, but it's very basic.
And it's not on
So
your own website.
yeah, let's say that it's $12 a month. Like that's a promise that you could make.
Hmm.
That's $144 of savings a year,
Hmm.
posting it on your own website.
Yeah.
And that's only if you pay annually. If you pay annually, it's 12.
Hmm.
If you pay monthly, it's 15.
Yeah. Cool. So that's an
So
interesting idea too for a lead
yeah,
magnet. Yeah.
messaging wise, you could make a promise to save people money, which is fantastic. I
Hmm.
mean, I'm already paying like $52 a month for show it, for example. Like I might as well use my website.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah, so quizzes, PDF checklists. PDF checklists also work really well, especially for done for you folks, because if you give them a checklist of all the things that need to be kind of considered when you're doing something, whatever it is, like it could be
Mhm.
like a checklist for your about page, it could be a checklist for your whole one-page website if you offer one-page websites. It could be,
Yeah.
a checklist for your yoga studio website that's very specific to the niche that you work in. If you are a designer that does yoga studio websites as a specialty, for example, or esthetician, office websites. So anything like
Brand
that could be
style
great.
guide,
Style
like
guide, templates. Yep. Yep.
how to basically like a template showing them how to keep your brand visuals consistent across all platforms from your website on,
Yeah.
I think is super great and important. I think it's something that people actually totally miss.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, and so these are all things that we've seen people do successfully. Obviously, when you choose a lead magnet, you have to make sure you're
yeah.
choosing one that is based on your type of offer and
Mhm.
is really in alignment with like the type of person that you want to attract as well. And it can be a little bit of an art and a science, I guess, kind of, but
Mhm.
to like really choose the right lead magnet for you. But I think our point is that there's lots of options, and those do typically work really well for folks who are in the brand design, website design kind of arena in terms of performing well on Pinterest itself, having a good lead magnet like that. So,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, and you
Go ahead.
when you're talking about your Pinterest to blog to client funnel, it's important that you have your lead magnet in your blog posts.
Yep.
Not that like you also need to talk about your paid offers, but like you want to have your lead magnet there because some people might not be ready to book a
Yep.
discovery call. In fact, this happens to me quite often. I'll have people tell me on discovery calls, I've been consuming your content for months or weeks or years even.
Mm,
And now I've worked up the courage to hire someone, or I've worked up
yeah.
the income level to hire someone, or
Right.
something like that. So
Yep. Yep. Same. I just had someone enroll in HLC this morning through the my webinar funnel, and she's been off and on my list for at least for
great.
like 4 years. Yeah. So she's been in my
Welcome
orbit for a
home.
while too. Welcome home. I was gonna say one more thing about that, but I forget what it was about the lead magnet. Oh, I know. I was just gonna say that this is a little bit of a rabbit hole for sure, but yes. And there's a few different ways that a lead magnet can show up on your blog posts. So for so I have a lesson inside of high leverage content after you've chosen your blog topics, but before you start writing, which is how to choose your calls to action for your blogs, because I want people to know what
Yeah,
CTA they're going to use before they start writing the blog post.
same.
So some of them will choose to have the next
God.
step in the sales process for all their blogs as the CTA. Some of them will choose to use the next step in their sales process for some of them, and then some of them, the CTA is the lead magnet. And then the other thing you can do, and this is something I really encourage people to do, is to have your lead magnet as the main call to action in your sidebar on your blog and slash or depending on what kind of lead magnet is and what you want to do on your website, you can have it as a hello bar at the top as well. And this is all very Pinterest friendly stuff because when people hit your website from Pinterest, especially if they're colder, like you said, it's good to, even if they're landing on a blog where the main call to action is to book a discovery call with you or apply to work with you for your main, let's say, high ticket offer, having that lead magnet opportunity in the sidebar and or at the top as a consistent thing gives people like that other option if they're not quite ready to book a call with you, but they want to stay in touch or they want to learn more. So those are things we talk about inside of HLC and like the prep steps chapters right before you start writing your blog posts, and they are important. So, all right. You still there? Oh, you're on mute.
Oh,
Sorry. I
sorry.
hope I was just like talking because you were on mute and I was
No,
looking at my
no,
notes.
you're totally fine. I muted myself because my husband had started to make noise over here.
Yeah, it was taken
And
over.
I wasn't sure if he was gonna continue speaking or not. So,
Right.
because I have these noise canceling headphones on, but I can still hear a little bit.
Yeah, I could hear him a little bit too right in the beginning. Let's
Um,
see. I know we want to talk about mood boards or not mood boards a little bit too. What were you gonna say?
no, that's fine. We can move on.
Okay. Sorry, I feel like I'm talking over you a lot because I'm looking at my notes that I made for this instead
No,
of looking at your face. So I'm not
I'm
picking
looking
up
at
on
your
your
notes
verbal
as
cues.
as well, but I have
Okay.
you up on the side.
Okay. I'm not as fancy as you. I'm just looking at my notes and don't see your face. So, okay. So the other thing we did want to mention is that, especially with designers, web designers, brand strategists, they tend to use Pinterest with clients. I know my client Kay did this. Every brand strategist that I've and or web designer that I have worked with, which is many as a client over the years, and many of my students in my Pinterest course and in HLC as well, most of them do have this situation where when they start working with a new client, one of the first steps is for that client to start creating a mood board on Pinterest.
Mhm.
And those boards are usually what we call, they're technically group boards, they're shared boards. So either the brand strategist themselves, and when I say that, I also mean web designer. Some of you all do both, some of you all do one or the other.
Mhm.
Typically, will start the board and then invite their client, or have the client start the board and invite them. I always say when you do your onboarding, it's better if you're going to use Pinterest as like a strategic place to get clients. Definitely do it the first way. Do it where you create the board and you name the board, whatever you want to name it right now, and then invite your client to it and send them the link and have them start populating the board in whatever way you want. Most of people that I know have like a tutorial to show their new clients how to start going through Pinterest and looking for ideas that they like for their brand or for their website or both. So one of the reasons I'd say do that is because what I've seen work really well, what we did for many years with all of the clients that I had when I was working with clients with Pinterest, is that after the project is wrapped, because a lot of brand strategists and web designers who've worked with many clients have like dozens of these boards on their Pinterest profile because they've worked with dozens of clients. You can actually rename the project, or excuse me, the board later on and rename it something that is actually keyword optimized so that it helps with the keyword optimization for your profile and it helps basically like, well, I'll explain in a second how it actually helps. But so you can change the name of the board that you curated with your client after the project is wrapped. So let's say at first it was called Heather's Brand 2026, right? You can change it to like Girl Next Door Brand Design for Heather 2026 or just for Heather. Or let's say initially it was like Krista's new brand 2026 or Krista's mood board or something like that. Once the
Mhm.
project is wrapped, you can change it to therapist website inspiration for Krista because Krista was a therapist, let's say, and you know that therapist website inspiration is being searched. So doing that is a really good way to make it so that any of those pins of other people's that you and Krista saved to that board potentially could be out there. And if someone engages with them, Pinterest could then show them other pins from that same board or even show them your board as a resource. So you're bringing people onto that first stepping stone in that new kind of way as well. If you intentionally title and maybe even add a keyword optimized board description to that board. And I would, like I said, suggest doing that like after the project has been wrapped up already and you're offboarding the client. So that was something I wanted to share just because kind of like a little trick that people can do.
Yeah, and so my internet is bouncing a little bit over here, and I'm not
Oh,
quite I'm not a super 100% sure what all you said in the last
oh no.
couple of minutes. No, that's okay. It's my internet over here. It's being funky. Anyways, what I was gonna say is, in relation to that, what if you could rename the board to be something like wedding planner brand strategy or wedding planner show
Yep,
it websites.
yep,
Um, everything you share onward from that client from your portfolio, for example, could
yep,
support that board and then any other wedding planner websites that you might go
yep.
on to do. But then that board is showing up for people that are searching for that really specific thing, which I think is what you said at the end. I think I caught
Exactly.
that.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yep, that's exactly right. You just mentioned something that I didn't mention though, which is really good, which is that once the project has wrapped up, that's one of the boards, not the only one, but one of the boards where you can actually add your final like portfolio pieces as well.
Mhm.
So you have this board that's full of all the mood board stuff that Krista saved, right, for her brand. And
Yeah.
then once the project is wrapped and she's offboarded, you still have that board. You can rename it something keyword optimized, and you can take the images that you added, let's say, to the blog post you wrote about, showing like the screenshots from her final website, which a lot of designers do. you can add those pins and any other pins that you point to that blog post, even ones that are just Canva designed, for example, to that board as one of your boards where you add that pin moving forward. So again, it gives people the opportunity where if they loved an image that Krista saved, which a lot of times when people save those images, they're saving images that went viral to begin with. So they're probably likely to go viral again. And when we say viral on Pinterest, we mean a little bit differently than on social, but still. And so it basically means that you're giving people a chance to engage with pins that will then trigger Pinterest algorithm to show them your pins from that board as well. And if
Perfect.
they were interested in that pin in terms of like the aesthetic that it had, they're probably
Hmm.
also going to be interested in the one that you pinned that leads back to your website because it was literally designed based on this aesthetic that you guys curated right on this on this Pinterest board. So it all really works well together and feeds in together. And it's something that a lot of designers like never take the time to do on Pinterest.
Hmm.
And it's just like a big hack that I think a lot of people should do. It also reminds me about the same thing with portfolio boards. If you create boards on Pinterest that are meant to showcase your portfolio, make sure you're also keyword optimizing those. So many people will call them
Yeah.
like Jennifer's website design portfolio. And like, no, don't do it that way. Instead, create something like Rebel Archetype website design projects or yoga studio website design instead of just like Serenity Flow website 2026, if that was like the name of one of your clients. You know what I mean? Like if you're going to
Yeah.
do a portfolio board with all the stuff you designed for that client, make sure it's keyword optimized so people can find it.
I love that advice. It is so good.
Yeah, it's a
So,
little like advanced, a little 201, but we
yeah.
wanted to go a little deeper for our designers who tuned into this either live or on the replay, hoping to get some stuff that was like specific for them, because that's what that is specific for you ladies and gentlemen.
We have a few people. Angel earlier asked, just sort of Pinterest in December at around 100 outbound clicks a month. The issue I think is most leads are other designers. Is that a problem you see a lot linking to case studies for now? And I said 100 a month is great. It can be an issue. And I gave the advice of looking at the design of the actual pins and the messaging you're using on those to see if maybe you're inadvertently targeting ideal clients versus colleagues. Or
Yeah.
I guess it'd be the other way around, colleagues versus ideal clients. That would be the very first place I would start, is what the messaging is.
I have an ad to that too. I used to have this happen all the time with my students. I still do.
Hmm.
It's really common because, and it's a keyword issue as well, because when I ask someone who's a website designer or a brand strategist, let's say, who's new to Pinterest or new to thinking about it in this new strategic way, and I say, what do you think that people might be searching for when you want them to find you?
Hmm.
They go to the kind of like the Google mindset and they
Hmm.
say, I think they're looking for web designer for therapists or, um, you know, like website designer for something or something like that. And typically, keywords like that on Pinterest, when you search for them, if you actually hit return and you look at the results that are showing up in the feed, the pins themselves, those are usually pins that are about starting or scaling a web design business.
Hmm. That's a good call out. Is to look at
So you're going to end
the
up with people when they search that, like who are other web designers.
yeah.
So if you're a business coach for web designers, that's a good keyword for you. But if you're a web designer and you're looking for your client, your future clients, that's not a good keyword for you.
Yeah.
What were you going to say? I feel like I wasn't super clear about that. Maybe you can make it more like.
No, we were cutting, my internet was cutting out again. So what I was going to say is the nuance of what I'm hearing is the advice that I give my students all the time. And this is to look at the keyword and look at the results of the keyword.
Mhm.
You're going to know really quickly, is that an information keyword or a commercial keyword? Being information is mostly information related pins, and commercial is pins that are selling products. And if it's a pins that are selling physical products, not even like digital products, then does it align with what you're doing? I find this a
Mhm.
lot in the home decor and art space for people in those niches in my membership group. And it can be tough to differentiate yourself between who you're wanting to seek and who you're ultimately finding. And knowing that nuance of looking at the pins and what results are coming up
Yep.
is a really good place to start. So on Hill, I would definitely um look there.
Yeah. Yep. I just realized I have an 11, so I'm gonna have to hop off because I have to
That's okay. This is all we had to talk about
powder my
today.
I have to powder my nose before it starts.
Gotta go powder your nose. Next week, we're talking about 33 ways to make sales with one blog post on repeat. So join us at the same time in the same place, 10 a.m. Eastern. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, we're out. Go
Okay.
powder your nose.
Sorry, that was like a super awkward live stream.